I guess we should hop right into the mess that is the government shutdown talks.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me that we have 18 episodes of the show. We've probably talked about government shutdowns out of 6 of those episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like more than a quarter of them have been about government shutdowns in one way or another.
Oh, that's so sad.
Isn't that so sad? It just shows that, dude, this is just not functioning the way it's supposed to. It's not. Everything is broken. Everything sucks, and we can't fix it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. There aren't enough 20 and 30-year-olds in office yet.
But hey, maybe the senators.
Maybe
the senators.
Maybe the senators. So let's get into what's going on here. So the Republicans have now had another deal. Their first deal that they were trying to court, McCarthy was trying to court with the hard right, the Freedom Caucus. They were trying to have an 8% cut to all discretionary spending that excluded defense and veterans benefits. That was the plan. Freedom Caucus was like, no, that's not enough. Get out of here. Now, there's a plan on the books that they want to cut all discretionary spending that doesn't have to do with defense or veteran benefits by 27%. 27%.
It's
laughable.
Actually funny.
It's actually funny.
Actually comical.
So let's just give 3 little highlights of what this thing will do, okay? It will cut 70% benefits to help the poor heat their homes. It will reduce funding for Title I schools. Title I schools are schools in impoverished areas, urban and rural, by 80%. 4/5 of schools' federal funding gone, and 1 million mothers and children will be excluded from nutritional aid. 1 million people. 1 million. Fathom 1 million people losing access to food. For what? For what? What are they getting in return for this? For what?
No.
Literally for what?
Nothing.
27% cut. And this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And the truth is, Republicans know it's ridiculous. The Republicans who are the adults in the room, the senators, they know it's ridiculous. But you know who doesn't know it's ridiculous? Donald Trump. He went on Truth Social on Sunday night and he told the GOP to buckle up. He said, unless you get everything, shut it down. People who are listening to that, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Andy Biggs, they're going to listen to their leader here. They have no incentive to go against Trump.
Yeah. No, I mean, no incentive to go against Trump, no incentive to show their voters that they want to work with the rest of the government in any way.
No, they have no incentive to govern.
It's not their brand.
Right, it's not their brand. Their brand is anti-government. And when you run an anti-government brand for so long, eventually you say, why fund the government? Right?
Yeah.
Right. If you're so anti-government, fine, don't fund it. That makes perfect sense. But now what's happening is even Chip Roy. Chip Roy is a prominent member of the Freedom Caucus from Texas. And this is him quoting, he is not happy with Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. He said, I honestly don't know what to say to my fellow Republicans other than you're going to eat a shit sandwich and you probably deserve to eat it.
I love that. It's because last week we were talking about Scott Perry, right? The head of the Freedom Caucus. And it seems like we're just peeling more and more Republicans off the far right fringe to fall in line with saying, oh, these ones that are even more on the fringe are crazy and ridiculous. And yet, because the Republicans hold such a slim margin in the House, they still have enough crazy conservative populist Republicans in there that they can stop everything.
Yeah, and I want to shout out the names. So we have Andy. These are the people who are voting no on the spending packages as of right now. Okay, Andy Biggs, Arizona. Ellie Crane, Arizona. Matt Rosendale, Arizona. What are you doing? Why are there 2 people from there on this list? Get your act together. Matt Rosendale, Montana. Dan Bishop, North Carolina. Matt Gaetz, Florida. Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. Those are the people who are the holdouts. Those are the people you got to pick off. Matt Rosendale, he should be easy. He's running for Senate in Montana against John Tester, who is not a totally unpopular incumbent.
No.
Matt Rosendale, I don't think Matt Rosendale I can't imagine he actually wants the government shut down, but I guess I'm wrong, right? He's voting for it. But it doesn't look good. I don't think it's going to look good in his political brand.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's running for Senate. That means you have to win a lot of the independents across the state, not just your hard right district that you're in.
I don't know. Good point.
Yeah, I don't know what he's thinking. But there's hope. There's hope because other people are in the room right now. Okay. There are other people who are in the House and the Senate who are trying to get the government still funded. So the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus in the House has put forward a plan to avert a shutdown, which it has formally endorsed by the caucus generally. Okay, so that plan would keep the government open all the way through January 11th at current levels. Keep that in mind, all the way till January 11th. It will have $24 billion for Ukraine aid, $16 billion for disaster relief, and will also have a much stricter southern border policy, essentially reinstating Title 42. Now, this is good, okay? If you want less illegal immigration, fine. Let's do this, and then let's boost those refugee up numbers by 4 times.
I'm totally happy with this.
Yeah.
I've come to the point on immigration where my problem isn't at all with more border security. In fact, I'm for it. The only way to have a strong legal immigration system is to be able to control entry at your border from illegal immigrants.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I want an airtight border with big doors.
Yeah, exactly. So I love all this. I love the $24 billion in aid for Ukraine. We need tons of disaster aid with the climate change disasters that are going to continue to pile up.
Especially during hurricane season over the next couple of months, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm happy with this.
Now, the Problem Solvers Caucus in the House has proposed this plan all the way to January 11th. But as of a couple hours ago, as we're recording this, the Senate has come to their own little agreement, endorsed by Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, which will keep the government funding at current levels all the way up for 45 more days. So not all the way till January 11th, but 45 days from today, and includes $5 to $6 billion of Ukraine aid. I don't know the exact number, but it's some money for Ukraine. Not 24 billion, but something.
I thought it might have been 18.
Okay.
Yeah, I can try to find it.
Okay. Yeah, so it has Ukraine aid in it. Now, a lot of Republicans in the House are not going to vote for Ukraine aid. They're not going to do it. I don't think any of these guys that I talked about before, the Matt Rosendales, Andy Biggs, Ellie Crane, Dan Bishops, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah.
$6 billion.
Oh, it is $6 billion?
$6 billion for Ukraine, $6 billion for disaster relief.
There it is. Okay. So $6 billion for Ukraine.
Yeah.
These guys aren't going to vote for Ukraine aid. No, they can't even vote. They can't even vote to feed hungry children in America. Why the hell would they go vote for, people in trouble across the world?
I mean, honestly, to me, those feel equivalent from their perspective.
True.
Like, they're going to hate hungry children because their parents are poor, and they're going to hate that their parents are poor, and they're going to hate sending money to Ukraine because we're not in Ukraine.
Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as that, to be honest.
Yeah.
When your analysis is that thin, it really isn't hard to pick where you're going to be, right?
Exactly. When your messaging is that surface level.
Yeah. Yeah. Wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle, as they say. But so the senators the grown-ups have entered the room, and they're trying to try to keep the government open for 45 days. This is probably going to pass and get sent to the House, but there's another issue which gets a little complicated, which is really annoying. But now Rand Paul is not going to let it pass because he's going to object to it. So now the Senate probably won't be able to pass this until Sunday, which is putting us even closer to the shutdown deadline.
I thought the shutdown happened at midnight on Saturday.
I don't remember. I think then a government shutdown is inevitable, is what I read. I think. Again, this is happening like basically live as we're recording this right now.
Yeah.
But Rand Paul has said that he's not going to let this go through. He's going to do everything he can to block it. So there's a whole other side to this there. Mm-hmm. But let me go through a little, while you look for the Rand Paul thing, let me go through and talk about what happens to our economy if our government does shut down. So best example we have is the 2018 to 2019 shutdown, which was the longest in U.S. history. It lasted about 5 weeks. And in total, it cost the economy about $3 billion. Now, you have a note here.
I have a note here. And I said, to be clear, like to the U.S. economy, this is very, very little.
Yeah, $3 billion really is nothing.
Our country had a GDP of $21.38 trillion in 2019, and $3 billion is 0.01% of that number.
Yeah, like the impact on the actual economic growth, fairly negligible.
Yeah. And honestly, you should definitely go into the other effects here. But my general take is government shutdowns don't matter that much. Like the essential agencies all keep running.
Basically.
I was even thinking about that as we've been talking about this a lot, and I've been reading articles. Like, what exactly is a government shutdown? Because I know the president is still going to work. Like, I know Congress is still getting things done. I know the essential services are all still happening. So it's only a very select few services that get shut down. And there are a few important ones in here, which is why I do want you to get to those. But I think kind of from both sides, it's sensationalized for political gain, right? Yeah. For the Marjorie Taylor Greens, they want to show that they're making a big impact by preventing the government from doing anything. For Biden and the Democrats, they want to point the finger at the Republicans and saying, look at how much damage they're doing by making the government shut down.
And then the media just loves having the headline, government shutdown.
Exactly.
Countdown to government shutdown.
It sounds so catastrophic, and like it's a small percentage of people whose lives are actually affected in any way.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know that the government was getting shut down, if you're watching this video, you probably didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you probably wouldn't even know.
Exactly.
But this is the kind of stuff that happens during it, okay? So clinical trials and enrolling new patients in the National Institute of Health in their online portal can get handicapped. It becomes harder and harder for new drugs to ask for, clinical trial approvals, and new patients getting enrolled is an issue. Other essential government services only allowed the FDA. The FDA was only allowed to respond to foodborne outbreaks during a couple of these shutdowns, and it prevented the agency from conducting proactive inspections. So that's a huge issue, right? Now we're having trouble of inspecting food at a regular time. Or OSHA, which is the Operational Hazard Authority, going in and making sure that workplaces are safe, that can go on standby. So workplaces no longer have the federal government inspector coming in during this time. According to the USDA, nearly 7 million pregnant and postpartum recipients of supplemental food aid in the WIC program, the Women, Infants, and Children program, could lose access to their food benefits.
This is one of the more important ones, except the fact that any plan that might be agreed to as far as coming from the House Republicans would already cut this funding. Yeah. So in this case, it's not really a big deal.
I would rather the government shut down than the Republicans pass the plan that they want to pass right now.
Exactly.
Right? I would rather that happen.
I mean, than 27%?
Losing 80% of benefits to pregnant women? Yeah. Are you kidding me? Pregnant women and children?
Yeah. And this is why I think, go on. I want to talk about big picture more at the end, but I want you to finish these.
Okay. Another thing that gets affected, the Head Start program. This program offers academic support to 3 and 4-year-olds would be gone, and free and reduced lunch programs across the nation would quickly pause.
That one also sucks a lot.
That one sucks so much ass, bro.
I've said this before on the show, but not giving government aid to children is like a crime.
It's a crime.
It is a crime.
Children have no agency, bro.
Yeah.
Children have zero agency. They didn't ask to be where they are.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves the same shot. Give them the same shot. Give them the same lunch. Give them food.
And don't say, oh, if you were poor, you shouldn't have had a kid. It doesn't matter. They had the kid.
Yeah, the kid is here.
The kid can't choose whether or not it's alive.
And conservatives want to limit abortions. So please, don't say that.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous.
It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just nuts. So then the last one that I want to talk, two more I want to talk about. There will be $52.7 billion in subsidies aimed at bolstering the domestic microchip industry. This will no longer be able to be distributed during a government shutdown. So this puts a bottleneck in the distribution of those funds, which TSMC, these big semiconductor companies, do not want any bottlenecks. They are investing so much money. Intel is investing so much money that they don't want to see any bottlenecks. And if they don't think the United States is a reliable partner, they will go somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with this. The fact that interest rates are as high as they are and financing money to pay for these projects is that much more expensive also means that delays are that much more expensive.
True. That opportunity cost will suck quick.
Yeah, and I feel like we need to emphasize how China literally could invade Taiwan in the next year, in the next 2 years. These plants, these facilities take 2 years to get up and running and actually producing chips.
This is like a 2027 project we're talking about here.
Yeah. And China could absolutely invade Taiwan in 2025. So we're already behind.
In addition to the delays of giving out the funding through the CHIPS Act and all that very needed capital to semiconductor development, it will also delay the implementation of prescription drug negotiations with pharmaceutical companies that was done during the Inflation Reduction Act. So that will also get delayed.
That hurts so bad. I mean, in my humble opinion, amazing deep dive that we did was on our current healthcare system. And part of why we spend so much more on medicine is because our government is literally not allowed to negotiate on drug prices for Medicare for some drugs, for most drugs.
What an absolute disaster of a policy. Like, who even thought that was a good idea at the time?
Yeah.
Let's not give negotiating power to the people for this price.
It's insane.
But it's gone, thank God. But now it's about implementing that. And this government shutting down would delay that process of getting your drugs to be cheaper. All you seniors watching out here on Instagram or YouTube.
I mean, but it also, to be clear, it trickles down. It's not just seniors. Like, Medicare tends to set the bar more or less.
Yes. Last program that will get affected, SNAP. Now, SNAP won't get affected immediately. It has a lot of funding saved up. It'll only go into danger if it continues for a long period of time. So this is if it goes beyond like 2 months of a government shutdown, then SNAP starts going in danger. The longest one ever is 5 weeks. So I don't imagine SNAP's in trouble.
No.
But it could be. And now with the senators hopefully taking this up, sending something over to the House, I hope that's what passes, man. And we get 45 more days. I mean, I hope the Problem Solvers Caucus thing passes. That would be best case scenario.
Yeah, which is funny that best case scenario is still a continuing resolution that only goes till January 11th.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But what's so frustrating about all of this is I see the media talking about how like some of it's the Democrats' fault and some of it's Biden's fault. I'm going to take a hard stance on this. I've been critical of Joe Biden. On our last episode, I was critical about his alliance built with Saudi Arabia and Israel, and I got some hate in the comments for that. This is not Joe Biden or the Democrats' fault, okay? It isn't. When it is, I promise you, I will be honest and I will tell you when it is. This isn't. McCarthy and Joe Biden sat in a room and agreed to a debt ceiling that they already laid out the budget priorities of the fiscal year. Now, Republicans have decided to go back on that deal and are trying to renegotiate. Joe Biden's saying, no, I'm not renegotiating with you. We already negotiated. We already did it. We already met in the middle. I'm not going to meet in the middle of our middle. That's stupid. I'm not going to do that again.
I think I disagree.
Really?
I disagree on how hard your stance is, because I don't think Biden or anybody on the Democrat side was naive enough to not know that this moment was coming and that there would be opportunities for renegotiation.
Well, are they opportunities for renegotiation, or is it just these guys being too greedy? You don't see Democrats trying to get more out of this, do you? You don't see Democrats trying to push Republicans to raise the debt now.
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
So that's what's frustrating to me.
Okay, I'm with you.
Right? Democrats aren't now saying, okay, I know we only said this much for SNAP. Now give us this much for SNAP.
Yeah, they're saying, let's just do what we agreed upon in the spring.
Yeah. That's all they're trying to do.
Okay, so the last thing, the bigger picture thing I wanted to end on.
Yes.
Where does this go? Right? So I
don't know.
I think, well, you've talked to me about how McCarthy doesn't get through this.
Oh, right.
Right?
McCarthy does not get through this.
So, yeah, McCarthy is trying hard. McCarthy, man, he strikes me as such a politicker, such a politician. And he is searching for that middle lane. He is searching for that needle to be threaded so that he can get the support of his entire Republican caucus. And it just doesn't seem to be there.
It doesn't.
And I think I've sided with you. I think, here's what I think. I think McCarthy does bring a bill. I think the government does shut down for a little bit.
I agree.
McCarthy is the one to eventually bring the bill that reopens the government, and then he gets removed.
Well, do you think he brings the Senate bill?
Maybe.
I think he brings the Senate. This is my guess, okay? I think he brings the Senate bill to the floor. It passes with Democrat and moderate Republican support. 20 Republicans vote to kick him out. Or a Republican comes up, Matt Gaetz, calls a vote to vacate the chair. Democrats and Republicans, those 20 Republicans unite, vacate the chair of McCarthy, and then someone else has to fill the chair.
Yeah.
And who is that? I don't know, but I don't imagine. Matt Gaetz even said, he's like, let's see if the Democrats are going to prop up McCarthy. He's baiting him. Matt Gaetz is baiting it. And Matt Gaetz knows if McCarthy gets into power with the help of Democrats, McCarthy's career is over. Not officially, like he's still the Speaker of the House, but his career as a Republican leader is over, and he will forever be disdained by the Republican base for eternity.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy who won with Democrat help.
Totally. So he gets removed. Last week we were talking about this, and I said Democrats should help bail him out. and as I was watching that clip back, actually, I realized that you proposed maybe just a more moderate Republican gets nominated for the seat. You're, of course, more plugged into who are leaders in Congress and who aren't. Do you have any idea who that might be on the Republican side?
Representative Bacon from Nebraska is probably the most likely.
Okay.
Representative Bacon is probably the most moderate Republican in the House from my perspective. He's been in there for a good amount of time. I don't know how long his tenure is, but he is not a newbie.
Okay.
So I definitely think he has political clout. Don Bacon is his name, Don Bacon. He would probably be the best one. He would probably be the best guess. He's actually looking to retire soon. And
that would be helpful.
And I think he has a job offer at CNN to be a political commentator.
That's honestly more enticing than being a House representative.
Yeah, I mean, you say all the time the media has more power than the politics, right?
Yeah.
But this is the type of guy who I think Democrats could actually get behind. Okay. And then we could see if we could have a functional government between a speaker with a working House, a working Senate, and a working president. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited by the possibility of someone who actually wants to move things forward instead of just win the political game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, there's definitely a lot of divides between Don Bacon and the Democrat base. I mean, Don Bacon isn't equal to Hakeem Jeffries, but it's not. Don Bacon won't be beholden to the to the Matt Gaetz types. It's not going to be that way.
Yeah, this all lies on a spectrum, right? And it's a problem that I think hardcore leftists make often is to think that kind of to think this way that Trump just truthed. Unless you get everything, shut it down.
I mean,
right?
Yeah.
That's the way that you get a government that doesn't function.
And that's what's so interesting about Mitch McConnell is because Mitch McConnell is an obstructionist, right? We know that. Mm-hmm. He refused to hold a vote for Merrick Garland during the Obama administration. There's been plenty of other times where he's done his best to stop the gears of government.
He's the main engineer of the filibuster as blocking legislation.
Yes. And so now he's the type of guy who has just come in and is trying to save the day with the government shutdown, trying to avert it, right? He's in the back room with Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden trying to make this deal. And it just kind of shows like there is a type of politician that is disappearing. The behind-the-scenes workhorse who is going to sit down and shake hands with somebody that he genuinely hates on TV, but will get a drink with after the fact, that's kind of going away. And these interpersonal relationships are very important to our functions of government that we don't really think about. But the interpersonal relationships between these congressmen and the senators, it actually makes it's the only way the government is able to function if they're able to sit down and talk it out. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about any corporation. If your corporate boardroom or if your workplace all hate each other, I mean, you're gonna get nothing done.
Totally.
So if we lose that type of politician who's able to put it all aside and get a martini with you after work, there's going to be some trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want that.
No, we don't.